Chapter 283. Meeting each other. Kang Chon nodded at his words, a cold light in his eyes. Sometimes killing may not be a good way to take revenge. There is a more ruthless kind that makes the enemy's life worse than death. Brother, just let them go. We can assassinate Li Yuanba, Humph. If they can do the first day, we can do the 15th. The Heavenly Tao sect can't do anything to us without evidence, Xiao Jin said with a face full of unwillingness. Letting go. How can that be? Kang Chon sneered. His gaze was fierce as he said, the Heavenly Tao sect only stipulates that fellow disciples are not allowed to kill each other, but it doesn't say that it doesn't allow fellow disciples to fight with each other. This time, I'll let Li Yuanba have a taste of a life that's worse than death, HMPH. Although the Heavenly Tao sect stipulated that fellow disciples were not allowed to kill each other, they were allowed to fight with each other, because only competition had motivation. When the time comes, Li Yuanba will be handed over to me, and you, brother, will take care of Li Chonjiao. Xiao Jin smiled eerily as he understood Kang Chon's meaning. Li Chonjiao. An inexplicable cold light flashed in Kang Chon's eyes as he whispered, it's time to have a good talk with him. I'm uneasy with the star-absorbing technique in his hands. Unlike the last time they traveled to the imperial capital, this time, Kang Chon and Little Gold stepped into the air and traveled at a very fast speed. They had only set off from Demon Yuan City in the morning, and in the evening, they could already see the majestic city walls of the imperial capital. Subsequently, they walked into the imperial capital and immediately felt a wave of clamor coming over them. Lingyan Fox Skin, 300 top-grade spirit stones for sale. Divine Ability Remnant Book. Heavenly Crippling Feat, only 1000 upper-grade spirit stones. Extremely high-grade magic treasure Wind Cloud Sword, refined by Master Ushering at his peak. Bidding will begin 3 days later at the Imperial Capital Auction House. Kang Chon looked head-on, scanning the familiar ancient city with emotion in his heart. In 10 years' time, the Imperial Capital hadn't changed much, and was still prosperous and flourishing. On that wide street, there was an endless stream of cultivators of all levels, as well as on top of that one restaurant were some bored cultivators talking about all the stormy events in the cultivation world of the Great Tang Country. Brother, Little Gold looked towards the heavens. Let's go to the Jin Mansion. After Kang Chon finished speaking, he walked towards the direction he remembered. He still didn't know that Wang Tixiong had already been crowned as the Heavy Iron King, and at this moment, he had long since warped into the Jin Mansion. Why does that youth look a bit familiar to me? It seems like the hegemon Kang Chon from back then. A cultivator by the roadside looked at the back of Kang Chon and Xiao Jin and said with some confusion, I think you're blurry-eyed. Everyone knows that Overlord Kang Chon is always followed by a golden monkey. I think that boy should be another Overlord's admirer, just that he's too stupid and doesn't buy a golden monkey. Another cultivator beside him laughed. Alas, young people nowadays are always up to no good, thinking that they can become an overlord just because they dress up like an overlord. It's really the world's trend. That's not true. I have a friend who has made a fortune just selling golden furred monkeys these past few years. The Heavy Iron King's royal mansion, a luxurious mansion in the southern city of the imperial capital, was bestowed to Wang Tixiong by the Lord of the Great Tang Kingdom at the end of the Heavenly Tao sect's disciple acceptance ceremony 10 years ago. At that time, this event had stirred up the entire imperial capital, and all of the imperial capital's upper-class people often came to invite Wang Tixiong to various banquets, at one time making the Heavy Iron King's royal mansion a bustling place with a lot of activity. However, now, damn it, this Li family is getting more and more excessive, even openly sending 5 Yuanying stage powerhouses to blockade the king's mansion. This is to put old me under house arrest here. Inside the Wang mansion, Wang Tixiong, who had already become a Yuanying stage cultivator, roared with a face full of anger. Next to him were the Jin family head and Master Feng Yuan, who had a helpless face. I've already sent people to the Heavenly Dao sect to inform Kang Chon and Junior, only that Kang Chon isn't in the Heavenly Dao sect. And my family's Junior has also traveled to the Orthodox battlefield with a group of masters and brothers. The Jin family head smiled bitterly. Li Yuanba and Li Chunjiao returned a little later than Jin San Xiao and the others. Jin San Xiao and the others had just left the Great Tang country before them, and they returned afterwards. No one could have imagined that Li Yuanba, who had returned, was so arrogant, not caring at all about Kang Chon's status in the Heavenly Dao sect, and directly targeting Wang Tixiong. Luckily, the State Lord and the Jin family's Supreme Elder had stepped in, or else they really didn't know what he would do. However, whether it was the State Lord or the Money family's Supreme Elder, their help was very limited. After all, Li Yuanba's identity was there, and although the State Lord valued Kang Chon, he didn't want to offend the Li family. He couldn't afford to mess with either side anyway. As for the Jin family, the Li family didn't care at all, because their Li family also had an out-of-body stage Taishong elder. More importantly, the Li family's current number one genius, Li Chunjiao, was powerful. And although his cultivation was at the Yuanying stage, his strength exceeded that of some outbreathing stage powerhouses, causing the Jin family to be very scornful. Because of this, Li Yuanba dared to be so arrogant as to blockade the Heavy Iron King's royal mansion, making Wang Tixiong have no way to go out, suffocating in the royal mansion for 3 whole years already. If it wasn't for the fact that Wang Tixiong had gone through a lot of storms and had good patience, I'm afraid that anyone else would have been driven mad. Brother Wang, this matter will be known by Kang Chon sooner or later. I think he will immediately rush back when he knows about this matter, so just bear with it for a little longer. Master Feng Yuan said. 10 years had passed. His cultivation had reached the 8th level of the Jidan stage. He was considered an expert in the Great Tang country. But compared to the current Wang Tixiong, he was still far behind. Wang Tixiong was already a Yuanying stage 2nd layer powerhouse. Having a good grandson is better than anything. When Wang Tixiong was promoted to the Yuanying stage, both Master Wind Edge and the Jin family head sighed in this way. They knew that, if they didn't rely on the enlightenment leaf that Kang Chon had sent back to them, I'm afraid that with Wang Tixiong's talent, he would not have been able to promote to the Yuanying stage in his entire life. Don't worry to old friends, Mr. Wang's family have all been destroyed. What kind of storms and waves have I not seen before? I'm just whining, humph, Wang Tixiong said calmly, only that eyes were full of anger. He fully experienced the cruelty of the cultivation world at this moment. You don't have the strength to be bullied. If not for the existence of Kang Chon, I'm afraid that the State Lord wouldn't have stepped in to protect him. Even if there is Kang Chon present, the State Lord is also turning a blind eye to what the Li family is doing. After all, Li Chunjiao and Li Yuanba are also the inner disciples of the Heavenly Dao sect, or the more elite kind. Their future achievements are unlimited, so he does not dare to offend. Wang Tixiong didn't blame the State Lord. The other party was able to resist the Li family's pressure to save his life. It was already very good. To get more, that was obviously impossible. Unless Kang Chon was completely able to overpower the duo of Li Chunjiao and Li Yuanba in the Heavenly Dao sect. But for so many years, Kang Chon hadn't done anything earth-shattering in the Heavenly Dao sect. Instead, that god of war Zhao Wuji of the Zhao family had completely exploded, and it was simply uncontrollable. And now the entire Great Tang country, no matter if it was the State Lord or the Li family, did not dare to mess with the Zhao family. It was because Zhao Wuji's talent that had exploded had already received the attention of the senior management of the Heavenly Dao sect, and he was a true disciple of the out-of-body stage, the key cultivation object of the Heavenly Dao sect. Comparatively speaking, whether it was Kang Chon, Li Chunjiao, or Li Yuanba, they were all a bit worse than Zhao Wuji. Zhao Wuji. My grandson won't be worse than Zhao Wuji. Just wait, Li, family. The heavy Iron King's face was gloomy, and the light in his eyes was fierce. At the entrance of the Jin mansion, Kang Tian and Xiao Jin walked out. Brother, I didn't expect that country lord to get a heavy Iron King out. It looks like he's showing you goodwill. Xiao Jin said with a smile. They had got some news from the steward of the Jin mansion. Being in the position of the country lord, it's already very much giving me face for him to do so. I'll remember this favor and just return it to him when I have the chance. Kang Tian smiled at his words. Although he didn't care about the title of prince, but the move of the state lord to enthrone his grandfather was the right move, making Kang Tian secretly grateful in his heart. But Li Yuanba really dares to do it. If I don't demolish their Li family this time, I won't be called Kang Tian. Humph. On the way to the heavy Iron King's royal residence, Kang Tian had a cold light in his eyes, and the murderous aura on his body had already begun to hide. Learning from the steward of the Jin house that his maternal grandfather had been under house arrest for up to 3 years. Such a long period of time. How much grandpa's heart will be suffocated? Kang Tian, just think about it. His heart is furious. The heavy Iron King's royal mansion was not far from the Jin mansion, and soon, Kang Tian and Xiao Jin arrived in front of the heavy Iron King's royal mansion. The entire king's mansion looked very grand. It seemed that the lord of the country had spent a lot of effort. Just that in front of such a grand king's mansion, no one was there. It looked very depressed. The Li mansion has an order. This place is forbidden to step in. Just as Kang Tian and Xiao Jin were about to enter the royal mansion, an icy cold voice entered their ears. Kang Tian frowned as he looked over. In a house next to the royal mansion, one of the 5 old men with their eyes closed opened his eyes, and a morose cold light swept over at once. Not a single one will be left behind. Seeing these 5 old men, Kang Tian's eyes erupted with a shocking murderous aura, and then he stepped inside the royal mansion without stopping his pace. Seek death. The old man, who opened his eyes, saw Kang Tian disobeying the warning and instantly rose up in a violent rage. However, before he could rush up to stop Kang Tian, a skinny figure had already blocked in front of him. Old man, you can go down and greet the king of hell. A ferocious killing intent appeared in little Gold's eyes. Where did the little brat come from? How dare you block the old man? Humph. Looking at the one who blocked him was actually a 15 or 16-year-old teenager. That old man laughed back in anger. A cold light flashed in his morose eyes, and then he swept his palm, actually wanting to sweep little Gold away. Unfortunately, he was destined to be disappointed, even though he was a Yuanying stage powerhouse, as he was now facing Xiao Jin, the same Yuanying stage powerhouse. 3rd level of the Yuanying stage. Your cultivation is not even as good as Master Monkey's, and you still dare to fight with Master Monkey. Killing you is simply dirtying Master Monkey's fists. Xiao Jin narrowed his eyes and looked at the old man opposite him. The other party's cultivation was instantly seen through by him. Subsequently, his aura erupted, and an even more powerful aura rose to the sky. That old man's face changed when he felt the sudden eruption of aura on Xiao Jin's body, his face full of incredulity. At the same time, the 4 old men who had been resting with their eyes closed in the nearby houses opened their eyes in shock at the same time. You can go die. Xiao Jin stopped talking nonsense. He let out a low roar, saturated his true essence, and kicked out. The surrounding space immediately shook, and this terrifying kick, because of its excessive speed and power, made a snorting sound in the air. That old man felt the enormity of Xiao Jin's aura, and instantly knew that he had kicked the iron plate, and immediately exploded his entire body's strength, striking his strongest blow, not seeking to seriously injure Xiao Jin, but also to escape unharmed himself. The other 4 old men, at this moment, also rushed out of the house and ran towards this place. Unfortunately, Xiaojin's speed was very fast, and before they arrived, he had already kicked that old man. And that old man was also extraordinary. His eyes were ruthless, and he bit his tongue, allowing his burst of power to suddenly add another 3 points. Mantis blocking a car. Humph. Seeing this, Xiaojin snorted coldly. His body's true essence erupted, gushing out from his pores like a ferocious torrent, charging at that old man's fist. When the two collided, that old man's fist was like tofu, crushed by Xiaojin's foot and turned into pieces of flesh and blood. Immediately after, a huge amount of true essence surged out, collapsing and sinking half of that old man's body.